Dragons are quite elitist by nature. They care deeply for categorizing what is and is not their kind. See, there is this great debate at the moment about what is and is not a true dragon, something that even non-dragons care deeply about. A lot of mages and scholars have fallen to this debate. There are quite a lot of beings that are so much weaker than most dragons, but are undeniably related to them, and so they are classed as lesser dragons to preserve their elitist mentality. But a lot of dragons are not classified as true dragons because they simply do not look right. They are classed as lesser dragons purely because their body shape is out of order. In fact, they might be a lot stronger than normal dragons, but purely because of this shape, they are given the bizarre classification of lesser. Today, I wish to talk about a dragon that fits this category. I wish to speak of the ones known as dragon turtles, and how they are, in truth, one of the most powerful forms of dragon, while not looking like one at all. And they are exactly what you would expect given their name, a combination of a dragon and a turtle. By all regards, they look just like a gargantuan turtle in both shape and form, possibly a tortoise, although I believe most of them take the shape of sea turtles, with their feet being more flippers and fins. So given that they clearly lack one of the things that are synonymous with dragons, that being wings, they do lack the ability to fly, something that makes them classed as lesser, I believe. But they make up with it for their massive shell that is tougher than anything you can imagine, not to mention their colossal size. This natural shape of theirs lends perfectly into the deep and open ocean, which they dwell within. Indeed, any good sailor's map will show you the sea which a dragon turtle dwells within, and they can take up enormous vast swaths of the water as their own domain. Now you might think it would be pointless to claim vast swaths of the ocean as your own, since it is essentially empty, but they see it very differently. See, to a dragon turtle, everything that is within their domain, including the fish that swim in the sea and the ships that sail above, belong to them totally. They will never, under any circumstances, take from outside of their usual domain unless their survival absolutely depends on it. And this is the main reason they come across as massive isolationists. They will never interact with each other unless they are mating or fighting to the death. They will only ever leave their current domain when doing one of these two things, either to claim another as a mate or to kill another and take their domain as their own. Either way, it's quite predatory when they actually leave their domain. And believe it or not, they are the main reason most types of dragon do not claim any parts of the ocean past the coastline itself, simply because they are afraid to tangle with a dragon turtle, for their power is so vast. They of course have one major leg up against other types of dragon, and that is their sheer size. Dragon turtles are absolutely massive, dwarfing most other dragons that are the same age as them. But back to a detail I briefly mentioned earlier. All sailors who go over the domain of a dragon turtle know to give tribute to the dragon, throwing it into the ocean where the dragon is known to lair deep underneath. Even pirates will do this. This is such a cultural norm that almost every ship's log includes it in the budget. There is a stated dragon tax that must be paid, for if you do not give the dragon tax, it will simply sink your ship and take it all anyway. Dragon turtles love this form of reverence too, and will bless the ships with what capabilities they have, both naturally and magically. See, if you pay the tithe well in their domain, they will kill other sea monsters that get in your way, and give you much better winds to guide your spirits, as well as calmer waters, using their sorceress abilities. So, with the importance of giving them tribute being presented, I'd like to get into what they love to keep as treasure in their hoards. And so, like most dragons, they keep the usual stuff. They're not going to be upset when you give them metals and gems, and love to have almost all of these in abundance. But their favourite is going to have to be artworks, and since they live underwater and are absolutely massive, they are going to prefer the much larger things that will sustain themselves underwater and in pressure. Statues obviously come to mind given their size, it's very important to their values, but something that is quite bizarre is that they don't really care for the form of the metal that comes to them. They would much rather prefer a solid clump of gold rather than a chest of gold with just as many coins. In fact, you might even get away with paying slightly less if you do it this way. A solid lump of gold is going to look a bit more than some coins. Of course, the dragon doesn't really care what form it's in, so it's going to prefer the bigger one that it can see. They also accept food as tribute, so if you have an abundance of that, they'll take that instead. And the last thing I'd like to note about their hoards is that they are going to have an abundance of underwater treasures, no surprisingly, valuable corals, pearls, and shells and the like. In fact, some underwater dwelling beings, both intelligent and not, will give them direct tribute. And this is something they usually do face to face, and the dragon loves it. Like most dragons, they do have a bit of an ego of themselves, although they're much more quiet in this regard. There is also something else you need to know about dragon turtles, and that is how they hide their power. This is not a sort of humble nature thing or anything of those lines, they simply prefer to only use their claw and bite attack, as well as just their sheer mass to crush their foes, rather than their breath weapon or spells. It's not entirely clear why they do this, perhaps it's just in their nature, or they view it as a last resort sort of thing. I'd also like to touch on a few myths about them. Since they're quite isolationist and rare, a lot of theories and ideas pop up about them that are just utter nonsense. For a start, there's this fantasy or rumour that they become so slow and massive that giant islands tend to form on their backs, and while that's not really true, it's not impossible, and it has actually happened from time to time. Stereotypes do exist for a reason after all, but it is very, very rare, as most of them spend almost all of their time underwater. Another myth about them is that they're actually born and naturally created in the plane of water, and come over to the material plane every now and again. This isn't true either, they are naturally found on our material plane, but they can commonly be seen in the plane of water, and I suspect that's where this myth comes from. See, there are a lot of powerful individuals that live there, and they usually want dragon turtles as mounts, since they are the ultimate display of power to have a dragon mount, and dragon turtles are the best ones for the water, so they often go far out of their way to our plane to acquire one, then bring them back. This isn't as much out of the ordinary as you'd think. A lot of other planes of existence are just more powerful than our own, and so they quite often want dragons as mounts, bringing them over to their own plane. Even the likes of red dragons are sometimes used as mounts by the Githyanki due to well, that's a very long story, one certainly for another day. Just know that a sort of deal happened every now and again, and it happens. But I should at least mention their breath weapon, something that's not as important when talking to them, say other dragons, but it is their last resort and they are likely to use it in a dire effort, so I shall mention it. Despite this, it is quite powerful and ferocious, and it is simply known as a steam breath, though it's a little misleading. In essence, what they really do is they store water deep within their own gullet, and heat it up to a boiling temperature. They most likely have another organ to do this. They shoot it out at a high pressure, high speed, flesh-melting heat. The worst part is this will affect you just as badly underwater as if it was above, despite the heat being the thing that's actually harming you. They have other abilities too, at least the older ones do. They can make the very water around them boil just from their presence alone, searing heat and hurting all that go near them. And there is an aura, or maybe even a layer of lightning that will follow them. If you get too close or try to attack them, you will be struck by a bolt of it. That is almost certainly the end of most. Dragon turtles are powerful beings, feared and respected by all, and rightfully so. The tale I have of a dragon turtle is one of the interactions they had with another dragon. There is this green dragon by the name of Kazkara who well, for simplicity's sake, let's just say I work with her from time to time. And she needed assistance with paying off a debt she had to a dragon turtle by the name of Yalin Duvik, the master of the depths. She had done something that is a big no-no in dragon culture. She hunted in their domain. How she somehow managed to convince the dragon turtle not to murder her on the spot is a miracle to me, and how she got into this scenario was, well, the way she described it was, and I quote, "I was hungry for whale and didn't realize how far I had ventured." Which I do not buy for a second. That's just the way she is, lying to me in all these ways. She is an ally of mine, I say through gritted teeth, but I was obliged to help her. At least that's what she convinced me of at the time. And so I had to think of something we needed to give to the Master of the Depths in order to square off the debts. And so I thought, what else than a land counterpart to the very food she had taken? So me, Kazkara, and the dragon that I ride, Zamuk, flew off to find something that would make a great replacement for the meal. A race of giant birds known as a rock. You would be absolutely surprised, by the way, of how hard of a fight that is. The sheer force of these birds is incredible. They are able to grab a dragon from the air and throw them all the way to the ground before the dragon can truly react. It is surprising that these normal birds that are just large can take on dragons, but they actually can. We killed 2 of the massive birds and brought them back to Yalinduvik, which he accepted, and I quote, stated, "They tasted like abyssal chicken," which I have no idea how he knew what that tasted like, but dragons are dragons and tend to know these sorts of details. One frustrating thing about the whole endeavour, by the way, is Kazkara didn't even thank me. She just wandered off when it was done, not even a word, which is just like her. But back to the topic at hand. Dragon turtles, by all accounts, should be classed as true dragons. They command awe and respect, and have power that is rivaled by very little. But due to a few small reasons, mostly due to their shape and form, they are not considered true dragons. But they are treated as equals amongst most kind. Even dragons know to treat them as such, though they would not admit it around others. Thank you for listening to my tales. I am the Ashspawn. Feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me. But, till next we meet, fellow traveller, have a good day.